Hello, everyone. So, I'm Priyanka, and currently I am a life and leadership coach, a certified counselor, and an HR professional. Today, I'm going to talk about something which is very much alive, and I'm going to refer COVID and its impact on the job market. I'm also going to cover this COVID impact in terms of setback, what we all are experiencing with respect to the job market, and some strategies of how to prepare ourselves for the better comeback. All of this are planned, but let me share my screen with you so that we can understand what setback looks like and why am I covering setback with respect to COVID. So let's understand what setback is all about. Okay. So what's a setback altogether? So to me, a setback is like a roadblock, and a roadblock does not necessarily stop the rider. However, it certainly slows the rider down. So therefore, if you only can imagine how we used to approach to the opportunities of job market, how we used to explore the job market has definitely not come to an end, but certainly it has reduced significantly. And therefore, as COVID's impact on the job market, to me, it's a setback. So when it is a setback, let's understand we as a human being, why do we experience setback altogether? And in order to experience that, in order to explain that, let me use some neurological aspect. So what is the neurological aspect behind experiencing a setback? So for example, if in future, uh, so for example, a setback is something that we in our brain experience when, in spite of doing A, B, C as an action, we do not receive the Z as a result, which I used to receive in past. So let me reiterate, in past before COVID, if by applying through Naukri or Monster or any other job platform, if I have received the job offering, if I have got called for interviews, these are the XYZ actions. And when I did the XYZ actions, I sometime received Z, which is offer in my hand as a result. However, because of this setback of COVID, in spite of doing the ABC, which is uploading my resume on various job portals, applying actively, or maybe using references on LinkedIn and many other platforms, even after doing the similar thing, I'm not receiving the similar response. And because I'm not receiving the similar response, the brain wires of me, which used to give me the response, is not giving me the response anymore. So when XYZ, I did the actions XYZ, some neural network in my brain connected and led me to expect the result as Z. However, after the setback of COVID, even after doing XYZ, my neural network is leading me to expect Z as a result. But it is not giving me the result. And therefore, the energy which my neural network is using to connect XYZ to Z, XYZ to Z, it is not getting me that result, and therefore what I'm experiencing is a huge amount of energy loss. So the neural network which has been created primarily needs to rewire themselves, because this time they are not receiving the result which it has received earlier. And that's how the new network connection in my brain needs more energy. And that is the whole reason why we feel very much less enthusiastic or low in our energy when we apply and do not get the response as we used to do. So therefore, I hope you guys have understood about what really happens in our brain when we experience a setback. So when we experience a setback, as I mentioned earlier, it's because the new neural network, which is happening in my brain, that the new neural network suggests me that even after doing XYZ, you may or may not receive Z as a result. And therefore, every time my brain needs more energy to create and to recreate new neural networks. And therefore, I'm experimenting with different options. Now, what happens here is many of us feel that it is not really working. Uh, it is not really working, and therefore we should not look out for job anymore in this time. Let the time pass, and then we will search. Or the responses could be, I am doing the research on platforms like job portals, but it is not giving me time, so therefore I have just slept over it. So these are the several responses which we are currently giving in this time of corona, and feeling that things will change on its own. So let me give you that whatever we are doing in response to this setback of COVID vis-a-vis to the job market, these actions and the mental wiring has a term in psychology which is called defense mechanism. Okay, so why do we experience, why it is defense mechanism, and what is its relation with setback? So let's understand one by one. What is a setback? A setback is even after doing XYZ, I'm not receiving the earlier response which I used to receive. And therefore, it's a setback because my whole energy is getting consumed here. Now, because of the energy getting consumed, I'm telling it as a setback. However, the new energy which is required to create the new neural network, I'm not receiving it from within. And the whole reason why am I not receiving the whole new energy to recreate the neural network is because my body and my brain is playing a defense mechanism so that I myself is will stay away from any emotional trauma. So what's a defense mechanism? In simple terms, defense mechanism is a creation, is a chemical reaction of body and brain, which enable the body not to experience any emotional trauma. Okay, and just to relate with the job market setback, if we get if we do not get if we are not getting any job offers even after applying and reapplying and doing all those actions, if we are not receiving the similar result, chances are that my emotional brain will start secreting a hormone which is a sad hormone, which might trigger some emotional trauma in me. And therefore it becomes my defense mechanism. It becomes my bodily response to that hormone, that I will save my body and brain, and therefore it is called defense mechanism. Okay, so usually there are various types of defense mechanism which a human being gets into in during stress time. Not only the job market, relation to the job market and its failure, it's related to any stress situation. So let's understand what are the major type of defense mechanism. And at this point of time, it is essential to tell you that defense mechanism are not necessarily wrong. They gives us protection for uh, for uh, some limit. It is good for the brain and body because it gives us protection from the emotional damage that we might feel. However, the area to look at is my defense mechanism making me dysfunctional. If it is making me dysfunctional with my consciousness, then it's high time to relook at that, how my brain is acting against my will. Okay, so just understand what are the basic and what are the major type of defense mechanism that we usually experience. I'm sure there are multiple others, but these are the major one. I hope you might be able to relate to one or the other. So the first type of defense mechanism is called externalization. Now, what is externalization? It is the kind of response when we do not own the situation. So, for example, if I do not, if I am not getting the job offers even after applying and getting interviewed, I would externalize this. I would start saying, uh, the interviewer was not sure what he really wants, or rather, the payment or the CTC was not really attractive, and therefore I was anyway not interested. So instead of owning up the failure, I start externalizing the end result. Okay, and this is equally applicable in other stress situations as well. So for example, the other example could be, if I get into a quarrel or a fighting with my loved ones, with my friends or family, instead of owning up the situation, if I start blaming on them, like, because of you I got into this trouble, because of you and your temperament I got into these challenges. So instead of owning up the reactions, instead of owning up the failure, if I blame it on the other person, on the situation, this is called externalization. Okay, now let's understand what is the second one. That's also very much easily experienced by many of us, is called withdrawal. Okay, so withdrawal is as simple as, just after the rejection or getting fired from the job, I isolate myself from even my loved ones. I do not speak up. I just go to a lone room and I withdraw myself from the rest of the society. While withdrawing, it's not that I am reflecting what went wrong. The major characteristic of withdrawal is that I externalize the situation. So withdrawal, while I'm in withdrawal, I am putting all the blame to others and all the blame to the situation. So that's called withdrawal. Okay. One of the simple characteristic of withdrawal is sleeping. So after the quarrel or after the fighting, if someone goes out for sleep, and they sleep for long hours instead of resolving the resolving the quarrel. If they go for sleep, that's called withdrawal. The third type of defense, what the brain start responding as, is called denial. So denial, as the very much word is, if I don't acknowledge it, it is not happening. So for example, I've been hearing these statements that up till when we are supposed to be held in the house, we have to go out, we have to live our life. I mean, whatever has happened will happen at its own time. As if I do not acknowledge corona, it is not there. If I do not acknowledge that I really got fired, it is not there. Okay. So denial is one of the majorly experienced, especially in the Asian countries. Um, and to give you an example, uh, especially in the cases of domestic violence and rejections, these are majorly felt by people that I will not even put any attention to it. And if I don't put attention, it's just that it has never happened. As simple as that. The other type is projection. So what is projection? The projection could be that I got fired from a job 3 years before, and I am really, really angry on my manager. And right now, instead of, this has been 3 years, but still I'm not over it. And the anger is still there in me. Right now, what I'm doing is, instead of dealing with the manager, I'm projecting it on my family members, my friends, or maybe other employers. And the similar goes, like if I got shortlisted by some other company, I'm starting projection on other companies as well. So for example, if I got offer letter from one of the MNC, I start projecting it on other MNCs as well, or another companies as well, that they can shortlist me. Why can't you? This is called projection. Okay. The other could be transference. As in the similar example, if I got into trouble with my manager in the last company and I could not deal with that problem, instead of dealing it one on one, what I'm doing is, in the next job also, if I am facing similar looking or similar manager, I start transferring all the anger on the next one. That's called transference. That usually happens in the cases of gender bias. And the last one, what I'm going to talk about, is the rationalization. So rationalization in terms of the COVID pandemic and the job market is, that giving it the rationalized reason for not receiving a job market. So for example, if I have got fired from a job, from my existing job, and instead of fighting it for my next job, I would start rationalizing that, of course, like as a my job was anyways not that important, or maybe I'm not worth enough to get another job. I don't have those competencies. Just rationalize the situation, which is emotionally traumatic for me. So these could be some of the ways in which we are responding to this setback of COVID, and possibly feeling that with when the COVID will go, all these defense mechanism of mine will go away, and I will start receiving job offers. Okay. So at this point of time, again, I will reiterate that defense mechanism is not always bad. This might be giving you some fresh air, some breathing air, so that you do not feel exhausted. However, if it has been 3 months or maybe a crucial time, then it's high time for you to relook at if you are experiencing any of the defense mechanism unconsciously. And if you do, there is high chance to prepare for your comeback actively. So how are we going to do that comeback with in the job market, a grand comeback? So how are we going to prepare for that? So first and foremost is understand what is your own defense mechanism, because many of us has some combination of defense mechanism, and depending on situation I pick up my favorite one and give that to the situation. So why don't you check out what is your favorite type of defense mechanism which you are currently playing, and if you can relook at that would be great, and I would be also happy to hear if you had any reflections. Yeah, the second could be the energy which I have, the neural energy which I really need to explore, to form the new networks. So just to reiterate, the ABC, if I do ABC and I got Z as a result, the neural network has put its energy and led me to expect Z as a result. But in this new situation, new environment, even after performing ABC, I'm not receiving Z as a result. So therefore, my neural network needs new energy and a fresh energy and a maybe more energy. Okay. So how to get that energy? By not dwelling into the defense mechanism. Okay. Because your defense mechanism leaves you exhausted. Okay, so that's how you feel exhausted after delving into your defense mechanism. After sleeping for long hours, you feel just exhausted because the situation is still there. You have not catered to the situation, just slept over it as a defense mechanism. So therefore, how to balance those energy? The new neural network of you requires energy, and from where you get the energy from the defense mechanism. So instead of going for a defense mechanism, why don't you utilize the energy to explore what could be the other option? And talking about the options, at this point of time, I would recommend that many of the job portals like Naukri or iimjobs.com or monster.com, indeed.com. Uh, these are just for the reference purposes. However, they have done the research, and their job market economists are recommending all the job searchers to upskill themselves. So, for example, if you are a developer, you need to upskill yourself and maybe come up for a researcher or a data analyst. Like upskilling the existing skill could be one of the ways which will give you newer and other options and a better opportunity to come back to the job market. The other could be your reskilling. So reskilling and upskilling. Upskilling मतलब जो जो स्किल है उससे एक लेवल ऊपर करना. रीस्किलिंग एक स्किल आती है उसमें दूसरी स्किल को भी ऐड करना. So for example, if I am a trainer and a teacher, how would I reskill myself? I would probably understand the market of digital, the skills of digital marketing. So I've not only upskilled myself, I've also reskilled myself from a trainer to a digital marketer. Okay. And that's how when I apply for two competencies. So therefore it becomes my major chances to get adopted by the job market. The third could be considering all options of full time, part time, work from home option. All the option you should be open, and for that there is a defense mechanism which will always play, that when you receive a part time, however you used to be a full time employee, there might be an option, there might be a defense mechanism which will play against your will. And that is the time when you have to really tap yourself and balance the energy. Okay. Last but not the least is being more active in unique ways. So please explore the other ways of being active in the job market. Some of the ways which is coming to my mind could be writing on writing on blogs on various professional networks. So for example, I've been seeing a huge surge in LinkedIn posting and LinkedIn connection update. Like the LinkedIn has posted a graph and analysis that because of this COVID and this pandemic, they are seeing that more and more people are spending time on LinkedIn, connecting with each other, putting more posts and make them visible. So all of this is just to make themselves visible to the job market. Because when you're putting the post, when you're expressing your thoughts, you're not only being connecting to your connection, you're also being visible to the job market, who is updated, who is really out there. And these could be one of few are the ways of a comeback, which is a grand comeback. So I really wish you all the best, that your comeback is a grand one. And do not forget that it's you who have entered in this job market, and you will do it once again. So, my best wishes to all of you. Please stay safe and stay active, and do well. Thank you.